community was, I think, already strained a little bit before the pandemic hit. And once the pandemic hit, I think it really broke it.
Necessity is the mother of invention, and
Yeah,
we
totally.
we needed a space for us to go and express ourselves and to share, and we need that community, which is why we invented it, right?
Yeah,
We
we're
built
connecting the
it.
dots.
We couldn't find it, so we built it.
Yeah, I mean, we're connecting the dots like constellations, you guys. Like, and it has nothing to do with us three. It has everything to do with everyone. You know, let's. I'm gonna help y'all, and y'all help me, help everyone, help each other, help everybody. You know, like it's about the collective at the end of the day. Like co-creativity and synergy is real. You know.
These days, it feels harder than ever to find real connection. The world feels more divided, social media feels more toxic, and people are more isolated than ever before. But what if I told you that genuine, supportive communities still exist? You just have to know where to look. In today's episode of the Evolving Mindsets podcast, we're talking about the power of community, what it really means, why we feel disconnected, and how to find the right people who align with your values and vision. We'll also talk about our own journey in building a thriving, intentional community and why so many people are looking for something deeper than what traditional social media can offer. If you've been searching for a place to belong, this episode is for you. Let's dive in.
Hi, and welcome to the Crack the Code podcast. Today, we want to talk about the topic of community. And what we'd like to try to do is crack the code to finding connection in a divided world. It seems more and more that the topic of community is coming up, and it feels really apparent, when you look into social media or the news or anything, that people are feeling really divided and isolated and really want to find connection. And how can we find that connection, and how can we overcome these distances between us? And that's what we want to talk about today. And I feel like to get that going, I'd like to ask Shannon to just give us the definition of community so we understand what it is we're talking about.
Hi, thanks. Community is a group of individuals who share common interests, values, or goals, often characterized by a sense of belonging and mutual support. It can be formed through geographic location, cultural identity, shared experiences, or social ties, creating a network of relationships that fosters connection and collaboration among its members.
Yeah, right. And that's it, and that's what we're talking about. How do we get to that point of finding people who share our ideas? I think when we look at like geographic communities, that's a given, and has been, I think, one of the more broken aspects coming out of the post-pandemic world is trying to reestablish that. We got pretty divided. And when I think about the role that community has played in my life, when I was young, we were going to a lot of church communities. We had a community there, and that we had, the community of family. People didn't travel. We didn't have as much access to the world at large that we do now. And so community was very geographic. You went to the church in your town, you went to the church in your neighborhood, or you had whatever group you were affiliated with. Your workplace became a good community. And then, as I started getting into my 20s, we had, AOL was coming online. The internet was blowing up. Things like MySpace started appearing, Facebook in the early days. And those platforms really enabled us to spread the concept of community. I started talking to people all over the US and sometimes, in Canada and Mexico and around the world. And it was really this beautiful opening experience where we're used to meeting people that you meet in person, only in real life, IRL, right? And now you could meet people further away. And it was very, honestly, I feel like innocent. Like it was very genuine and authentic. People were just, coming online and were making connections. and finding each other. And it was really powerful. It was really supportive and helpful, and it opened your awareness to the world. And this was really good for a while. But what seemed to happen, and it's just like this trend seems to follow things that wherever people go and people collect together, someone tries to make money off that. And so we started to see the social media platforms really, really become inundated with uh, advertising, right? It didn't feel like going to see your friends. It felt like going to a mall and trying to avoid someone selling you something so you could hopefully have a conversation with someone that was meaningful, but it just never could connect because there were so many interruptions in marketing fighting for your attention. You know, during that transition, we also started to see that a lot of church communities were, really they were you know, proposing themselves to be a really spiritual institution, but it really became a business. And as people became exposed to those ideas, they were kind of turned off from a lot of that. We felt those communities break down. The social media platforms, a certain amount of toxicity came into that. And, in the workplace, they put a lot of pressure on the communities there. But as businesses were trying to thrive through the growing technology and the changes that were happening, the market discontinuities, the workplaces were getting toxic. And so community was, I think, already strained a little bit before the pandemic hit. Once the pandemic hit, I think it really broke it. And there was this element of reconnecting through, online where we could, but there was just a lot of division. It was really hard to find a way to connect. And so, I know I've spent the past several years, finding new ways to connect, finding ways to get in touch with people and rebuild community, whether it's in the workplace or it's online or wherever it may be, which has ultimately led to us building our own community. But, so that's kind of been my experience. And before we get into, how do we find this and stuff, I'd love to hear, I mean, what's your thoughts? What's your experience and your take on where we are in the world today with community, Shane? You're on mute.
Everything that you said based off of, there was the pandemic, there was you know, there's social media that's kind of isolated us, and the world is just become divided, and there's a lot of competition, and you know, the values have changed a little bit. And at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of people at this very moment are very isolated and very, it's kind of lonely. Been a disconnect, uh, especially in the United States between our own families and each other and everyone. But I think there's a real power in community, and it's in the ability to create profound connections and foster growth that amplifies like individuals and the collective potential.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of full spectrum. I'd say that there are communities, and community in a way has survived. I think it's struggling, right? I think it's really strained, but there are absolutely, to your point, individuals out there who are feeling very isolated. And one thing that we foster in our community is to build that authentic purpose, your true calling, what it is that you're really wanting to do in your life and who you want to become. And sometimes just that journey alone can pull a person outside of their normal, the communities that they're used to, as they start to identify themselves in a different way, as they determine who they are. And that jump, even when community is healthy, leaving, outgrowing a community and looking for a new community can also be difficult, right? And the power of it, to your point, it's important. We want to feel accepted. I don't think that we want to live in this world entirely by ourselves. Maybe some people do. I don't know. But for me, I think by and large, most of us really benefit from community.
Yeah, I mean, with a community, you have a sense of belonging, where everyone can be seen and valued. You can support each other. The connection combats loneliness and isolation and offers a space for, meaningful relationships. What are your thoughts, Shannon?
Just to be like super honest, ever since the pandemic, like I feel super socially awkward. I get around people now and I feel like a complete idiot half the time when I'm talking to people. And I walk away going, like, man, I used to know how to do this. I used to know how to talk to people and connect with people. And, hopefully I'm not the only one that feels that way. Maybe I am. But um, I think the last couple years has been like a challenge for me to try and get back into, you know, seeing friends or just trying to connect with people and kind of like you were talking about earlier with the social media. We've got like our main social media platforms I think that everybody uses, and there's just no satisfaction in using them too much anymore because I do feel like they're so commercialized and um
Yeah, it's the
it,
advertising and the algorithm and bots. You don't even know
yeah,
like who you're
and
even talking to anymore. If they're even real, or if it's like that show Catfish, like if they're even the person.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
then add AI into that mix, and
totally.
it might not be a person pretending to be someone else. It might be something pretending to be a person. It's
Oh
yeah.
kind of
Well, even
scary, right?
yeah, and even just without getting into like too many details, but I feel like the politics in particular and
totally,
religion over the past couple years has really divided a
totally.
lot of people, and people who maybe I thought were a part of my community like a few years ago, I really don't feel any connection to them anymore. Like I don't want them in my community, just to be
Right.
blunt. And and so I think a lot of people like us are just kind of really struggling to find the new community who kind of has like the same feelings and thoughts that we do, which, I think I can speak for all three of us when I say like we're a pretty positive bunch. We really like to look on the brighter side of things. We really try to avoid any sort of polarizing conversation. And we really just want to lift each other up and those around
Yeah,
us up, and I think that's like super important and not something you see too much anymore.
yeah. To your point, like, go ahead, Clint.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was just gonna say to add on the Shannon's point there, something you said a second ago really just kind of triggered up something in me. Right, is one of the big benefits of community that we don't talk about is the development of social skills. Right, like we kind of need to practice it. And to your point, like do we, with intention, focus on the positive things? Do we, with intention, avoid polarizing conversations? Are we ignorant and unaware of all those things? No, but what we're doing is practicing social skills so that we can build and develop community and reestablish the relationships that it feels like we've lost, and gain that value. And I mean, even if you are a person that likes to be by yourself, you can't avoid the fact that you live on a planet with 7 billion other people. Like some
Mhm.
social skills are really critical, to success and survival and happiness, right? Unless you can somehow live, 1,000 miles away or hundreds of miles away from everybody all by yourself and you're happy that way. And if you are, you're not listening to this podcast anyway. So I'm not real worried about it, right? But by and large, if we're connecting in this way, it's because we're looking for connection. I think about like when I hear a song and that song really resonates with me and I feel seen in that song, that feeling that connection is important. And so a lot of times I feel seen, I feel, something special. And so in our community, we have a place where I can go, hey, look, heard this song and it really, resonated with me and it made, I felt this and I can share it with people. And sometimes other people are like, yeah, I love that. And, here's a song that I love, and then, now I'm finding more music that's like what I'm interested in hearing. And so it creates this abundance for me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think like a good community can really like broaden your horizon in a lot of ways, right? They can get you thinking outside of the box. They can get you trying new things and listening to new things. So while you, I think like a good community and most people look for in a community is like a place of shared interests. It's also a place where you can grow.
totally. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah,
community
go ahead, Shane.
empowers community empowers like individuals to become their best versions. It holds them accountable for personal growth and values. Like, everybody in the indigenous American tribes, contributed to the tribe. The 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 sum was greater than all the parts, and but a community united by a common purpose can achieve remarkable things, and it provides a platform for individuals to align their goals and their vision, and really offer a deeper meaning to life, and where we have value and purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact of growing together, when I think about leading teams for years, right? And it didn't to me, I realized it didn't matter if the team was 12 people or 1,200 people. I have found every time that if I could establish a stronger sense of community within the workplace, that 70% of the problems typically associated with managing or business went away, and everybody was happier for it. Everybody was a little bit more comfortable showing up to work. They felt a little less threatened. They felt a little more safe. They felt like their interests were shared. They felt like they could trust each other. They felt like they could have conversations without the fear of reprisal. And you know in that strength, they also help to bring people in and foster people. It makes they know what the sense of the community is. So when you have someone new coming in, people are eager to welcome and say, "Hey, look, come see around. This is what we do, and here's how you do this." And you get this really human interaction throughout it, and it doesn't matter whether it's a workplace or it's online or whatever. This is the beauty of community to me. Is it does. It creates that place where you can grow, you can practice your social skills. You benefit from the collective of the whole, right?
No, you really do, Clint. And you were my boss, and I saw it happen in the business world. We were like the bad news bears. Like seriously, we were the bad news bears. And you came in and you got to know us all sincerely, and then you leveraged each of our unique skills and superpowers and gifts, and the things that we enjoyed most, and you helped us develop in other ways. But that is also, besides the workplace, just having that leadership in the community, that authenticity to be who we really are, our awesome self, like, and bring it for the benefit of everyone, for the collective. It's important, and that's one of the things that I love about evolving mindsets and the community that we're building together for everyone. Creates you know a, a space for where we can thrive on the diversity, like you helped us do back on the team, and utilizing all the different perspectives and our experiences to enrich the collective experience, and through like everyone's creativity and empathy and wisdom, uh,
Yeah,
so
diversity adds perspective, right?
it
It's the
does.
beauty of it, right? And sometimes the diversity doesn't have to be massive. If you have a community that's focused, say like you're a dog lover and you want to train your dogs, and you find a community that's how to train dogs, and it doesn't mean that you have to share every single thought and idea with that community. Like it doesn't the community doesn't have to own you. You just want to come together on that shared interest and talk about that thing. And it it helps us, I think, in learning. There's that element of social proof when we see that many other people are doing something and it's successful, or that there is a shared kind of idea or commonplace between a community. Psychologically, as a human, it helps us go, okay, that is an accepted behavior. that is a successful routine or route, thought, or practice for something. And because other people are doing it, I feel like I can do it too. So it's very enabling for success or for, growth.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I think that, we covered kind of what community is and what the benefit is, right? So we understand it's a group of people coming together on a shared interest, and we understand the values and the benefits of it, but in trying to crack the code to finding connection in a divided world where we're at now, how do we go about finding that community? How do we find that place where it connects? If we're not finding it at work, if we're not finding it locally, what is it that we're looking for? How do you go to Google and search up, where's the right community for me? Google's not going to be able to, even AI is not going to be able to answer that. There's a lot of other things. So maybe we could talk for a minute about, like, if you're looking for a community, what should you be looking for? What should you be searching for? How do you recognize the signs of if this community is right for you and it's healthy? I mean, I don't know, Shannon, do you have any thoughts on that?
On the best ways to find a community.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I think I'm not sure. I'm sure it's still around, but kind of back in the day, one thing that you could do if you were looking for somebody with, shared interests or whatever, there was always Meetup, I think is what it's called, meetup.com or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I've
And
used Meetup. Yep.
yeah, and
So
you could go find people who all wanted to play D&D or whatever. And I feel like most of the people who did that were on the same page. Like they were trying to find other people like them who are maybe a little uh introverted or maybe a little lonely, and just trying to find a group where they could belong and and be themselves.
well,
Uh
so I exactly. But I mean, to answer your question, Clint, like I really don't know what the answer to that is. I don't think AI can really answer it, or you can Google it. Which kind of leads to why are we building a community? Because we can't really find
yeah.
one, you know. And how are we doing it? Well, I mean, grassroots style, like just finding awesome people that we have interest with and building off of those common denominators. The best things, the awesome things that we can all bring together, and like let's focus on the good stuff and like build upon it to transcend to lift each other up.
Yeah, and I think that for you that's listening, right? If you found this podcast, you've already found one way to find community. I mean, we have a community. There's a connection here, right? So, and how did you do that? Were you searching YouTube on community or finding connection? And I think it starts with, what are you interested in? And I think even for some people, there's a little bit of a process that has to occur there. Maybe you have a hobby, maybe you like to go rock climbing, or maybe you have a passion, maybe you're really familiar with that. But I think for someone who might be feeling, really isolated or separated, one easy way to start is, what turns you on? What gets you excited? What makes you go, man, I really want to do that? And even if there's limitations, like the thing that you love to do, maybe it costs a lot of money, you don't have that, or maybe it feels out of reach, or it's going to take a long time to get to that. If you can find a group of people who are also interested in it and are willing to talk about it and share ways, they may be able to find ways to get to your goal faster, right? Maybe they know how to get some discounts, or maybe you can do some, Grouponing or something of that nature, to where you can, get together. But I think it it starts with finding out what you're interested in.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, yeah,
But I'm
what
not.
is the topic that like really interests you? I mean, honestly, if you're into rock climbing, there's no better way for you to get involved in rock climbing or meet other people than to go to a place where you rock climb. You know what I mean? You're gonna find
Yeah,
people there who are willing to teach you. You can always just sit back and watch and learn that way. But it's the perfect place. Just put yourself where you want to be. People love to help. honestly. Like,
Yeah, they
people
really
love
do.
to be, "Can you help me?" I was like, "Yes, yes, I can." And whatever that is, that's like the best way to meet people is just, ask for help, ask questions. People love to talk about their passions and the things that they're interested in. So, go to where the thing interests you and meet other people there and just ask questions. And you will be welcomed with open arms probably 90% of the time.
So I totally agree, but I'm gonna switch like angles a little bit. And why have we started a community? And we're here. We're at the rock to climb right now, the virtual rock, like and um, you know, why is building a virtual community for people to do every single thing that you just said? Um, why is it's so important? And why are we doing this? So that people have a place to go, and beyond emotional safety, to just be who they are, and to help each other like personally transform, and for the benefit of the collective. We are building like the the plane in flight, but it feels like kind of like Noah's Ark in a way, like the opportunity to create a virtual space for people to shine on each other, and uh, you know, and
Yeah.
then use that to, like, you know, go to music festivals or go to seminars or go do group camping trips or go down the rapids together, but like, let's create a space where we can all come together and like be awesome, like the Renaissance, or like, like, let's seems a little apocalyptic out there sometimes, but that doesn't mean that we can't like be who we really are and bring it and be awesome, and love each other and benefit from each other's awesomeness, and make the world a better place, and celebrate on. you know
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's the quote? Necessity is the mother of invention. And
Yeah, totally.
we needed a space for us to go and express ourselves and to share, and we need that community, which is why we invented it, right?
yeah,
We
we're
built
connecting the
it. We
dots, like,
Yeah, we couldn't find it, so we built it.
yeah, I mean, we're connecting the dots like constellations, you guys. Like, and it has nothing to do with us three, it has everything to do with everyone. Let's I'm gonna help y'all, and y'all help me, help everyone, help each other, help everybody. Like, it's about the collective at the end of the day. Like, co-creativity and synergy is real, you know?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
excited to meet more people like us and expand, that group and just expand our community and watch it grow. Like, how fun and amazing is our community going to be as it grows and we get to know more people like us? Like, it's going to be fucking amazing.
Yeah, it is, and I love what you guys are saying there, and I think to just add on to that, right, and add into that, I was socially awkward too when I was 16. I just remember I was terrified to say hello to anyone, and kind of, necessity being the mother of innovation or invention, right? Like, I had to there I could get this point where I realized I'm like, if I don't go talk to people, I'm not gonna have any friends. And I would look around and see everybody kind of connecting and all this kind of stuff, and I was like, it's me. I'm the wallflower. I just need to go out and start saying hello. So I learned how I had to develop social skills. And so I travel a lot. I go to a lot of different places, and there's a little bit of just this kind of it's like this little thing in me when I see the wallflowers, when I see people that are kind of hanging by the edges or off by themselves. There's this thing in me, I just feel drawn to them. Like, I always want to go by, and I'm like, because I remember what it was like to be like that, and how great it would have been if someone would have came to me. How badly I wanted someone to just come down and sit down by me and say hello, and so I love to take the opportunity to do that. And as I've went around and I've connected with people, I found so many people that they just wanted this connection. They wanted this place. I know, Shane, you and I have talked about it. You wanted it, Shannon, we wanted it. And so, yeah, we said, well, we can't find it. Let's just make it, and it has been such an amazing experience, getting it set up, getting it built, putting the invites out there, watching people start to come in. watching people start to meet each other and connect in new ways. And it, it's beautiful to see this place of opportunity where I'm certain lifelong friendships are going to be made. I believe with my whole heart people will find each other and fall in love and get married within the community. And that's fantastic. On that point specifically too, when it comes to dating and finding love and long-term relationships, it's funny to me that we go to these apps where it's like Walmart shopping for people. It's like, scroll through the clearance rack, until you find something that's attractive at a price you can
Okay,
afford.
just wait,
Like,
just real quick. Just a side note.
yeah.
That is how we found each other. So you can't dog it too hard.
You're
Wait,
okay.
what?
Fair
What did you
enough.
did you just say the clearance rack?
No,
Yes.
not in the clearance. I was not on the clearance rack. Like I was not
Well,
last season's girl.
well,
No,
you definitely right.
but
no.
Humans.
Yeah.
to that point, we both agreed that we had kind of hit our fill with the online thing, right? I had tried the online dating for a couple years, and it was fun. I met some people. It was really cool, but I just didn't really find those connections, and I was kind of walking away from it when you reached out to me and you said, "Hey," and I honestly thought you were a bot. I was like, "Oh, she's not even a real person," and then I kind of was like, "Oh, maybe she is. All right, I'll test it out and see." And I'm so glad I did because you were a real person, and here we are later, 2 kids and all this stuff. So absolutely, it can happen, but I'll be honest, for me, it wasn't the ideal way. Like, I'm
Oh
so
yeah.
happy that that was
Yeah.
there and that we did connect and we did have that, and I'm thankful for it. But the experience of it was kind of like terrible. And I'm finding, and I see more so in my friends and the people that I'm observing and stuff, that when you get a group of people together and they really are loving something and they're vibing and they're exciting about it, that people make connections. For example, the last time I was at Burning Man in our camp, you get 40 different people come together with, centered around this idea of, we want to make a cool place to hang out. We want to have fun. That Camp Sonder offers a tea service. It's really great. So there was just this, shared ideology, shared interest together. There were 2 relationships that started, like, at Burning Man there and are continuing on, and many more relationships that were strengthened and connected, and so potentially, like, those people met their partners for life, by showing up to a community and just participating, and it's really incredible, and I'm like, "Wow, what a more rewarding way," or what could be potentially a more rewarding way to find connection, in comparison to, scrolling through 700 profiles until you give up and someone beautiful reaches out and says, "Hey, what about me?"
Yeah, I'm not sure that happens for the majority. I think that was a pretty special thing you guys happen to walk well through. But the music festival thing, in my experience, like the fact that so many people get together with everybody comes with something to give. Nobody steals anything. Nobody, like, I mean, at least in my experience, there hasn't been any violence or no need for police. There was no judgment, and it was a mind blowing experience. Going to the Eclipse Festival last year with you, Clint. Just the community there, that there was that many people that showed up with something to give, and the outcome of everybody coming from that angle, and building a city overnight in the middle of nowhere, as like they do in Burning Man, to celebrate together the miracle of life. It's a beautiful thing, and it changed my perspective. I didn't, I never really been to festival before, uh, especially camping for 5 days and in the middle of nowhere. So that many people coming together in the middle of nowhere to do that, so organized and so entertaining and inspiring, and the relationships and the people that you meet and stuff, like, there are a lot of awesome people out there, which really goes back to, like, the power and the importance of having and finding communities, and then taking the steps to participate and be a good member of a positive community. You know, that's it's good.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And but Burning Man happens once a year. There's a whole lot of preparation that has to go into it, and it's taxing. We were just talking to one of
Yep.
our friends this weekend and discussing it, and she was telling like she loves the idea of it, but doesn't really feel physically prepared for it. So, maybe there's a goal, maybe there's something there, but there is kind of a barrier to entry even to that. And this is why I like the idea of, that socially conscious online community because we can come together, across the distances. We can be available. We do workshops and calls every week, so there's plenty of opportunities for you to just drop in whenever you want, have some
Yeah.
great conversation, connect with people, maybe get some questions answered, share with people where your life is and what it is you're doing, and have people cheer you on and ask how you're going. You know what? Experience the beauty of someone missing you when you're not there, when you haven't shown up for a week or two, and someone going, "Hey, where's so and so?" Like maybe we should reach out and connect to them, and just getting that random call or text or message that says, "Hey, I haven't heard from you in a minute." You know that knowing that even you have a place in a group that your presence is loved enough that when it's not there, people recognize that. I think that's just it's a beautiful thing, right? To be missed.
Yeah, and to be seen and heard and
Or or
appreciated
maybe
and
not to be missed, but to have people who would miss you if you are away, right?
no,
Yeah,
exactly.
to not only be missed, but to, like, have your contributions be
Be
important enough.
valued. Yeah,
Yeah, and
you're
valued
valued.
enough that
Yeah.
people would notice if they're, you're not coming in as much or showing up as much.
And I mean, so because we realize this and because we haven't really found it, I mean, a version that I mean, there are awesome communities out there, you know, but what would the ideal community be? Well, we have a vision and a dream here, and we're building this community, right? And so the people that we want to you know in our community and the people in our community are all people that the end result is everything that was just said. Uh, we we love each other and we like respect each other and we want to know what's going on and like because when we shine each other we all grow. I'll say this forever. And when you sincerely love people and like this is important to have these communities is important for our individual experience and what the community can do together. But finding the ideal community is at this moment it's been still a challenge, and so building it organically, holistically from grassroots style, I think it's a beautiful thing, and having a space where we can discuss being leadership. We can discuss creativity. We can share music. We can share you know poetry. The things that we're doing, and then the people, other people in the community are like, hey, you guys should do this, so now we're doing that, and we're creating spaces and calls and these different opportunities and activities where people can engage each other and interact with each other. And that I think that's an important thing to keep us active, especially outside of the available channels of the toxicity of kind of social media, what it's kind of become to a degree, and especially like the cable TV news channels and stuff, like a healthy alternative. Like let's like we're focusing on the beautiful and the best and the most positive and the joy and the blessings. And like let's just stay there and like you know, grow together off of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you were talking, it was making me think that, you being a leader in our community, it's important, right? You're holding that idea of what it is, the alignment of what we want the community to be. And that's what creates that connection point. There's a lot of communities that are popping up, and I think a lot more are going to pop up that are essentially sales funnels, right? People are going to get savvy to the fact that we're, there's going to be an exodus from just mass social media into these private communities. And I think people are going to provide private communities just for the sole purpose of being a sales funnel. I've been involved in some of them, like, I'm like, oh, this community sounds great. And then I realize they're just trying to get me to buy stuff constantly. And I'm like, okay, this is really no better than where I came from. So, let's move away from that. But, leadership and purpose in the community is huge. And, me being a leadership development coach and, teaching leaders and managers how to build community, for so long, it felt very natural to say, well, let's just build a community that can, show an example so that, someone in a management position or administrative position can come in and go, okay, this is how community works, and take little ideas from that and see if you can bring it into your workplace. Not only that, but for the creative people, right? The people that you're drawing in, Shane, there a lot of us who want to be entrepreneurs. We want to start our own business. We want to turn our passion into a profit, and having leadership in there that knows how to, navigate business and having wisdom, like, how, and people like we have, Raya and others who are experts in marketing that, can help you, learn how to launch your Facebook campaign and all that kind of stuff. So, we're coming together to develop and increase our ability in connection and our capacity connect, but also at the same time, you know, increasing our capacity to be successful in our lives.
Totally.
Well, I think it's important to note too that the the workshops that you're offering are, probably a little more focused on, people in management and in positions of leadership. But those courses aren't just for those people. You can take so much away from what you teach to just lead a better life.
No, I totally agree, Clint. When you were our fearless leader um, in a corporate setting, you changed my trajectory forever just based on asking me a bunch of questions. Like, you know, you said it that way, but perhaps you could have said it this way. What do you think? And like, it's given me the opportunity to, and and a lot of ways, like this stuff has been native the entire time, and it's not any. It's been after express or you know the questions asked in a certain way. It made me realize like how common sense these things are to a certain degree, and just helping me remember things that I already knew and or made sense. And it changed my trajectory. I for sure tripled my income, and had the greatest success that I ever imagined that I'd have in my entire life. Sincerely. All right, now but then being a father and just getting older and like how I approach my life, like my health and stuff, like I took the same principles, the same solutions that are in these concepts and principles um, that got us here, and I've applied them to every front in my life, every every team and community that I'm involved with, and I apply it into everything that I do, and it's perpetuating uh, my success and my growth and my ability to flourish.
Yeah. And that makes me really happy. I love hearing that. And you know, the when I the things I teach, right? The things I've taught, the things I've always done, I never really thought of myself as a leader. I was, without a house, without a job, living in an abandoned trailer in my 20s. I had nothing. It was snowing, all that stuff. I had to pick myself up from that point and figure out how to survive in the world, how to develop an education, how to find opportunities. I had to get really curious. And so, even when I stepped into my first management position, I wasn't thinking about how do I get you to do what I need you to do. What I was looking at is what was going on in your life and what was it that you needed to be successful. And I looked at the lessons I had in my life and said, well, you know what? These are the things that I learned. Here's what my experience was. And here's what I tried. And, I'd be honest with it. Like this worked for me in this situation, but maybe you could take a modified version of that and apply it. And that was really the leadership training that I built and the leadership training that I deliver. Yeah, it's about being a leader, and it does have this massively positive impact on those you're leading, but it's really about leading your own life. It's about
It
leading
is.
yourself to what it is that you're
Absolutely.
looking for,
Yep.
and then being okay that everybody wants to follow you and you become a role model, and I even like it sometimes too when like I want to see people pass me up. I'm not afraid of that, right? I want to invest in people because what I have found is that when someone's really passionate about something, I love to see them go as far as they can with it because if they pass me up and they go further, I can follow them. And I've always said, one of the greatest trademarks of a leader that I've seen is when a leader knows when to lead, when to follow, and when to get out of the way. And
Gosh, that's
leadership's not
good.
always about being in front. Sometimes it's about letting someone pass you up and move
No,
forward.
you're,
Yeah.
you're exactly right, Clint. Like if you look at the like Navy SEAL Team 6 or whatever, uh, there's a what was the book, Stealing the Fire, right?
Yeah, Stealing Fire, yeah, by
Yeah,
J.B.
yeah.
Will.
They talk about he talks about how the SEALs, like it's a fluid kind of thing. Like back to the Bad News Bears, everybody in that Dungeon and Dragon clan or the team that we just happen to be on all together, um, as sometimes like you're deployed with or whatever, the SEAL Team 6, everybody was there and everybody had their specialty and everybody had their, and sometimes just the environment or how things work out, like different people would all of a sudden be in situations where they would be in the best position at that moment to lead, you know? And it changed. Nobody, and so I think that this was really an effective part of your leadership and this leadership. This is beyond uh, competition. It's outside of that. It's actually the opposite of. But it can be competitive as the synergy of the collective can be competitive. But the power here is that the leadership is no more important than all of the components. You know what I'm saying? It's, I had another
100%, man,
I had a
100%.
I had another really cool boss one time say, Shane, look, I don't know what you know, but all I know is that you know. So my job is to give you everything that you need and to get out of your way. And that was one of the coolest things I've ever been told by my boss at work. Uh,
Yeah, good trademark, right, of a leader. Knows when to lead, knows when to follow, and knows when to get out of the way. I read this article once, and I love this so much, but it was about geese flying in a V. And every once in a while, you look up in the sky and you see, geese flying in a V over there, and you don't really think about it. But they were talking about who's the leader in the geese. Who get what? How do they pick what goose gets to fly at the front of the V? Because the goose that's flying at the front of the V is breaking the wind and creating a vortex off of each of its wings, which naturally creates the V. So every goose behind the leader is riding in the draft of that one up front. And the one up front, it's hard work, right? They don't have anybody ahead of them, creating that draft for them to follow. So what happens is when that goose gets tired, it simply drops down and goes back to one of the legs of the V, and the next person or the next goose in the line or whatever moves to the front and provides that service for people. And I was like, it's like a communal leadership. They're all leaders. They're sharing purpose, they're sharing the distance, and they're sharing the burden of being the person in front. And I think that's just a really beautiful thing.
no, I love that analogy. We're on I'm on a couple ponds and geese come in all the time. And this is another an important part of this concept. Geese they're really loyal to each other and they come back to where they were born to mate again and they stick together for life. And if one of like one of the geese, the mate dies, like they'll hang out and almost become suicidal, but they still stick together and they look out for each other and they thrive because of each other and each other. All of them are important to the whole, and it's a really good formula. It's really the best formula. It
Yeah,
just is.
absolutely.
Shannon, what are your thoughts?
Um, no, I just think all of that. I'm just sitting here listening to you guys because it's just great hearing you kind of riff off of each other. Um, I think all of that is very similar to just like what a good community is, right? You take turns, you help each other, you you just feed off of each other, and you provide like the best way to like proceed through life, you know?
Yeah.
And uh, it kept like just while you guys were talking, like I just kept thinking about, I think it was Mr. Rogers who said like look for the helpers. You know, like if you're ever feeling down or you're stressed out, like look for the helpers. And like what better place to look for helpers than in your community? Like if you need help with anything, if you need help with leadership or you need parenting tips or recipes or literally everything, like it's the what better place to look than with other people who, you know, feel very similarly or think very similarly. They're the best people to turn to. And I feel like that's kind of what we've put together is, you know, a group of helpers who want to lift each other up
Yeah.
and just see everybody flourish.
Yeah, and I mean that's the purpose of the community, right? We want to build a sense of independence in individuals. We want them to be able to find that in themselves, so that they're self-reliant, because it's truly self-reliance that gives a sense of freedom. It's knowing that you have access and you have the ability to do what you want when you want. You're capable of it, having that confidence, but also having that sense of integration, that sense of connection, right? And being respected for the individual you are, and then doing all of that with a sense of integrity. And as you guys know, that's the four pillars of indivision, right? Is independence, individualism, integration, and integrity, right? And that's the core ethos of the community. That's what we're working together to develop. And what that looks like in your life. Maybe you want to be an artist, maybe you want to be a CEO, maybe you just want a promotion, or maybe you just want some people to connect with and share your passions. Like it's all welcome in the community. We just want to help people grow into their own power and live the best life that they can.
Yeah, fostering inclusivity, leading with kindness, and contributing to a shared purpose.
Yeah.
Inspiring each other. Though that's a beautiful thing because we watch movies or we listen to music and all of these things to especially music so important to me. If I'm having like a kind of an off day, like I always go back to Bob Marley, like everything's going to be all right. It just
Hmm.
is. And it helps me keep my mind right and keep focused on the joy and the blessings. And so there's a power and arts and our communities and our leadership and our contributions of wisdom and intelligence and when you take all of the best of all of that and share it with everybody else that's sharing the best of what they can do and find or create, it's beneficial to everybody involved. Really, we can earn our stripes together. Power to the people.
Yeah. Yeah. If you want to be part of a community that is committed to rising above the current conditions, right?
Yeah, we can do
Finding
better.
like, yeah, how do we cope with these things when changes come, when these things happen? What are we all individually doing to find our peace and find our happiness, and not, feeling beat down by sometimes what the world presents to us. Like, how do we pick ourselves back up, and getting to share that and grow together, because I'm not going to give up hope. As long as there is breath in my lungs, I am going to emphatically continue to believe that humanity has amazing potential, that we are capable of fantastic things. And yeah, we've got a lot of problems, but it doesn't matter. If we focus on what makes us great and we focus on
Absolutely.
loving each other and how do we and rising above and transcending, we don't have to get stuck in the problems of the past, or the problems that maybe they
Yeah.
weren't problems 40 years ago, but they are today. But you know what? 40 years ago, the thing that's a problem today was the solution for 40 years ago. Well, we just need the solution for today. And that's what we want to
Totally.
develop. That's what we want to find,
Yeah,
right? That's what we're looking for in people, or people who go, you know what? I'm tired of talking about the problem. Let's talk about the
yeah,
solution. How do we make this
absolutely.
better?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Our titles and our net worth and our past and our environment does not define us. It is bigger than us. And it's a miracle to be here. We were created, so we were chosen. And in that, it's like, you know, the mission, find your team and do awesome things together. Like, and to find, to have the wherewithal to want to evolve your mindset, just your body, mind, and spirit, be all you can be. And, back to the music analogy or whatever, like you get the right people involved and you get the right information and or ideas and or, through the communication, the best information, like this is almost seems like a common sense responsibility to each and every one of us and an obligation that we have to each other as well to seek out the best that we can find, the best information, the best, you know, so that we can self-actualize and become the ultimate version of ourselves. And the best way for that to be able to happen is to be open-minded enough and to be able to find the common denominators and have a place to do it with other people so that you can use the power of synergy and the collective intelligence to build off of. And like I think that the solution is the best that we can bring together. uh you know I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Go ahead, Shane.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, all of that. All of that is what makes me so excited about the community that we've built, right? It's such a great supportive place. It's a great place to learn. It's a great place to connect. It's it it's been built with love, and
Yeah,
I'm just so excited to share it with people, who are interested in the same things we are, and just getting to
learning.
know people, yeah, and
Yeah,
learning and just
loving.
wanting to
Yeah,
share and loving, and like we have so much to offer within the community. We've got the courses, we've got special interest sections depending on, everything from photography to parenting and poetry, and I just think it's just a great spot. And honestly, even if it was just the three of us, and the what however many other people we have at this point, like till the end of time, like I would be happy with that, because
Yeah,
it's just such a great spot, and I'm really, really proud of it. And but I also want to share it with
totally.
a lot of people, like
Because
I'm
it's a
just
common denominator. There's a lot of people wanting what is happening. And to your point, Shannon, like it it's like super grassroots, but it's how we got here is doing exactly what we're doing. Like, having these conversations that we can grind on for a couple of days that really gives your intellect and your spirit like sustenance. Like we need it, man. It's been like 40 days and 40 nights or whatever. Like, we've been out there for a while, like just as a society, but the individuals, and to be able to unite and to help each other stand up and to get our good manners back. Like, come on, we gotta have good manners, and like just be polite and kind and compassionate and open minded and open, uh, to new ideas. Just because somebody has a better idea doesn't mean you were wrong or you're outdated or whatever. Like we have to be open to taking in more ideas instead of just settling to sit on the couch and just flip on the whatever polarized news source and or toxic thing that a lot of people have just a lot of good people have been caught up and or like lost in the shuffle of just the norm of what is out there and junk in junk out and beyond the junk food for the brain and the pornography and the you know the just the bad side of social
Yeah,
media
the
and
filler, the pointless
yeah.
filler, right? That it's not really doing anything. You touched on something, and as we're getting ready, I'll kind of get ready to close this out here. But um, you know, the openness to new ideas. There was one thing that in leadership was something that we, was really looked after, sought after, especially in the technology fields, was how do you foster innovation? And I found that what appeared to be, or what was really successful for me, was you had to be open to invitation. And by invitation, what I realized is that people would come to me and they would want to share their ideas. They would want to tell me their story. And when they're, whether it was a complaint or a suggestion or whatever, it was someone wanting to share some communication. And if you were open to that, they were inviting me to get to know them. They were inviting me to understand the world from their perspective. They were inviting me to look at something different. And if I would be open to that invitation, it doesn't mean that I had to agree with them, but just share their perspective for a minute. Just look at it from the other side of the table. That this spurred so much innovation to the team as we learned how to just become open to, the diversity of ideas. And that's, what community brings an abundance of, is a diversity of ideas centered around common connection and stuff. So, you know, um, for you out there, if you're listening, wherever you're at, if you resonate with this, come join in with us. We'd love to have you. Like Shannon said, we've got a great group of people, and I think if it was just us for all time, it'd be fantastic. But we want you to know you're welcome, and we want to put the invitation out so that you can come and join us. Come check us out. You don't have to stay. Drop in, check, and see if you like the vibe. See if it calls out to you, and if it doesn't, then maybe what you learn from our connection will help you find another connection. And if you're out there and you're listening to this and you have a community and you know of a community and you would also like to welcome people, you're post a link to your community in the comments, right? Share that information right now with the community. Find other people, because if there's other people listening to this point, they're looking for community too. So, tell us about your community. We're not the only community out there, and we don't want to be the only community out there. We're just a community, and we want to get together with people who want to get together with us, and we want to have a great time. So with that, Shannon, I know you always have some amazing quotes for us. You wanna hit us up with some quotes?
Yes, I do.
All right, what you got?
The first one is Helen Keller. Alone, we can do so little. Together, we can do so much.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Brene
Wow.
Brown says, community is much more than belonging to something. It's about doing something together that makes belonging matter.
Wow.
Ooh, that's nice. I like that. That's a good one.
Brene Brown also said, belonging is a human need, not a privilege.
Totally.
And
Yep.
then this one, unknown, is, we are not put on this earth to be alone. We are here to belong.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
beautiful. I love that, man. So beautiful. Thank you so much. And to bring us to a close for this episode, Shane, would you give us a poem?
I have something. All right. Like Martin Luther King, building lit up bridges over the stitches and scars from socialized division, and demonstrations of love, inspiration, and positivity, reaching for the highest peaks in harmony and peace, collectively co-creating to the apogee of humanity, reaching individual potential and building a community, utilizing our greatest ability to help set the souls of the many free to fulfill their mission and destiny. Like Martin Luther King was speaking in his cosmic teaching, let's have a dream to be love shining upon everybody exactly as we were designed to be, with such intended specificity.
Mm,
That
that's
was
beautiful, brother.
awesome. That was
Nice,
awesome.
guys.
Thank you so much. And
Thank you so much.
it's so beautiful. And that brings us to a close for this episode. And for those of you that are listening, we can't wait to meet you. Come say hi.
Yeah.
drop in with us. We're looking forward. We're here all the time. Um, you're not alone. You don't have to look far. If you've made it this far, you're almost there. Come say hi.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and
All right.
just to put it out there, it's evolving-mindsets.com. And you can also find us on the Mighty Networks app. Just look up Evolving Mindsets.
Excellent. All right. Thank you
Good
guys.
night,
Have
y'all.
a great one. Bye.
Gonna find your path, gonna lead the way, stride through the storm, never go astray. Always the truth and let your spirit roar. You're a force of nature, crash upon the shore.